Welcome back to the Delaware Way. I'm Larry Menti. An important part of Black History Month that we're celebrating right now is the history and the story of the Tuskegee Airmen. Nobody knows that story better than the gentleman I'm about to introduce you to now, who is also an important part of Black History Month in Delaware. General Ernest Talbert is the first African-American general for the Delaware Air National Guard. Thank you for being here, sir. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Larry.
African-Americans in the military in the United States have an important and long history. The Tuskegee Airmen is something that everybody kind of knows about, but not like you. What would you like people to remember about the Tuskegee Airmen? What's the most important thing?
First, though, I would have to say the context in which they were able to achieve the many things they did achieve needs to be known by all.
What is that context?
The context was an era of Jim Crow following Reconstruction and right up until the Civil Rights Revolution itself. America had a formal process of denying African Americans full participation in all that America had to offer at the time.
So we were thick with racism. It was a country thick with racism.
Absolutely.
And still trying to deal with the wounds and the horror of slavery in this country. And so them being able to exist is a miracle.
Oh, absolutely. It should be stated that Black Americans have always stepped forward when the defense of our country was necessary. Going back to the Revolutionary War, I think history will say we fought on both sides of that particular conflict.
But the Tuskegee Airmen, let's stay with them for a second,
Okay.
because there's something about them that has captured the attention and the imagination of all Americans. What is it?
I grew up in a time of limited opportunities, or at least limited horizons for myself. The Tuskegee Airmen showed once and for all, as if that lesson had to be repeated, that Black Americans were capable of performing any function, any duty, any job that any other person residing in America could do. It showed that irregardless of race, we were entitled to the full range of benefits that society would offer by virtue of accomplishments, by virtue of our patriotism and sacrifice. What is amazing that in the midst of all that was going on in America during that period of time, it would have been quite easy for Black Americans to choose not to participate in the Great War, if you will. But they moved forward with great intent, conviction. There was an icon of that era, the double V, standing for victory overseas and victory in America. There was a great thought that if by a show of perseverance and courage, that Americans would hopefully accept Americans when we came back from the war.
Yeah, and what you're talking about is extremely important, that you were talking about a population that had every reason to feel resentment and was able to look past that resentment to serve their country.
That's right.
In the hopes that it would be greater.
That's
when
right.
They came back. The reason we're talking to Ernest about this, or General, do I call you General, about this is because he is making a presentation about the Tuskegee Airmen on February 3rd. Can you tell us about that?
I am. This is a repeat presentation, which will be held on Saturday, February 3rd at the Archives in Dover, located adjacent to Legislative Hall in Dover, Delaware.
For people that will get more information, like the time and when you're going to be there, they can go online and they can just Google. What would they Google? The archives?
Google the Delaware State Archives, and there's more information about the presentation as well as the timing of that event.
Wonderful. Sir, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to meet you. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Larry.
General Ernest Talbert, the first African-American general for the Delaware Air National Guard and an expert on the Tuskegee Airmen. Again, his presentations at the Delaware Archives on February 3rd. That wraps it up for the Delaware Way for this week. I'm Larry Menti. We'll see you again next week.